Welcome back to Fandom Academy. Thank you for bearing with us on our absence, as scheduling has been really busy as of late. With finals for me, life's crazy for everyone. But
hmm
as always, I'm joined with my co-hosts Layla and Jaden. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good. Glad to be back. Been very busy, but it's been for good things. So happy to be back. And yeah, we've got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. I watched a movie the other day that I'm really excited to talk about. And we also finally get to talk about X-Men. We did our little primer, but we haven't been back since then. So I know a lot of us have so much to say about X-Men, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm super excited. Like we all said, X-Men is absolutely phenomenal right now, and I honestly just can't wait to get into it.
And for the third time making his Fandom Academy appearance is Liam Crowley. Welcome, Liam.
Hey, CJ, Layla, Jaden, both good to see you. I am so stoked to be here. Like I said, WrestleMania is on the horizon, and it feels more special than it's ever been because I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys have noticed, but wrestling is cool again. It's mainstream, and I love how infectious it seems to be across social media and just people who are consuming entertainment. So this will be a fun one.
And let's go ahead and get into that because we are at time of recording a week away from WrestleMania, which is wild. It looks like a stacked card, and like you were saying, Liam, wrestling is so much fun right now. It's so refreshing. 'Cause a couple years ago, watching wrestling and like Monday Night Raw every week was a struggle. It was rough, but it's so much fun. This past episode was just one of the best episodes of TV I've genuinely watched in forever, and we have a lot of matches to talk about, so we'll just talk about all of them. And we're going to start with the WWE Women's Championship. We're going to start with Bayley versus Io Sky. Liam, what's your take on this one?
This match should be headlining night one, and it is wildly unfortunate that circumstances have changed. Again, when you have Dwayne The Rock Johnson on a pay-per-view card, you're going to put him in the main event spot. That being said, though, Bayley and Io, that story has been brewing for, I feel like, close to a year and a half, ever
Yeah.
since Damage Control was formed. And we go back to, I was at SummerSlam last year when Io cashed in. I remember the whole tussle her and Bayley had over the Money in the Bank briefcase the month prior, and just this natural slow progression of turning Bayley back to a babyface. She's been a heel for years, and I feel like she needed to do that classic Roman Reigns situation where the smiley good guy, like Captain America style, like no, like again, I love Cap, but like there's kind of a black and whiteness to characters like that where they're just purely good and there's no layers behind it. Bayley has developed over the past 3 or 4 years with this kind of like antagonistic side that has allowed fans to first detest her and then realize she has so much more to give than just the smiley babyface side. And now that she's back towards the good guy side, I feel like we're in a position to really hotshot her to the moon and establish her as a dominant force moving forward because she's in that immortal four horsewoman group and
Yeah.
she's the only one of that four who have not main evented a WrestleMania. And the story is there, the moment is there, the fact she won the Royal Rumble is there, and it's a bummer again that it won't close night one. That being said, same thing happened with Rhea and Charlotte last year, and they tore down the house. So I think Bayley
Best
and Io
match.
will
Yeah.
will go into Lincoln Financial Field with a chip on their shoulder, and I think they'll probably have the highlight match of night one.
And it's crazy how after all this time with Bayley, she's still like one of the most underrated wrestlers on the planet. Like she is really damn good at what she does. Ever since she turned heel, I think it was in 2019, this new character has been phenomenal. The story with Damage Control has been great. I've loved seeing it every week. And like you said, I think they've low-key disrespected her a lot in the build up to WrestleMania. Like you don't see her in posters as much as other people. And I think that's a missed opportunity because this story rules. Who do you think's winning? I'm thinking Bayley's getting the title here.
It's got to be Bayley, crown the new champ and usher in kind of a new era for whether she ends up on Raw or SmackDown. I think that title is due for a little bit of a change. And Io's had a good run, but we're now getting to close to 8 months. And I think, it's run its course.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move into the other Women's World Championship, and that's Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. And this match is going to rule. Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch are just two of the best on the planet. They're both so hot. They're popular with the crowd. Everyone's ready for this match. I'm so excited to see what it's going to be. After last year's match with Charlotte, anything Rhea Ripley does at Mania has my attention, and I think Rhea's taken this one. I think it would be kind of surprising to me if Becky won. I think Rhea is probably the most over women's wrestler in the industry right now. So I think it'd be weird to dethrone her. What do you think?
Oh yeah, Rhea's got to win this one, and honestly, I hope we harken back to SummerSlam 2014, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. I want her to completely squash Becky Lynch. I'm over Becky Lynch. I think the character has run its course a little bit, and I think both her and Seth are due to take some time off after WrestleMania, and I think both of them will benefit from taking some time away and resetting and allowing the fans to miss them. Becky Lynch to me right now does not feel like a viable threat to take Rhea's championship. And that's just because Rhea's operating on a completely different level, a level that no one genuinely, not only in the company, but in the wrestling industry as a whole, is operating on. She's in a complete league of her own. And I think this is not the time to even show any cracks in her armor. I think this is the time to reinforce that dominance. And again, I don't think Becky's going to hurt by having a loss that ends up in a squash. She's had many monumental victories. And again, like I said, she takes some time off after this. 3 months down the line, she returns. Everyone will forget about the one-sided defeat she faced. So Rhea's definitely winning. I think my brain tells me it'll be back and forth, but my heart says just let Rhea have the most dominant victory of the weekend.
I agree. And I know we've had a lot of long title reigns recently, but I think Rhea Ripley should hold that title in the next year's WrestleMania. I think her and Bianca Belair should main event. I think that's one of the biggest matches they have on their cards right now, and that's easily a WrestleMania main event. So I'm hoping she holds on to that for at least a little bit longer. And I think we have the program with Liv Morgan we got to do too, because there's no way you just don't do that program. I think that's probably next for Rhea Ripley after WrestleMania. And I'm super excited for that. But the next match we're going to talk about is the United States Championship. It's Layla's favorite, Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. I could see this one going any way. My head says Logan's going to retain, but it also wouldn't shock me if Randy Orton got the win here. What do you think?
I love Logan Paul, unironically too. I've completely bought in. I've drank the Kool-Aid, nay, I've drank the Prime, and that's because he's like the go-to crossover star for this because he takes it seriously. His matches are bangers, and he's bought in to what wrestling is. We've had celebrities come in before where they're just like, oh yeah, I mean, it's good for my exposure. I'll take the paycheck, but I'm not actually going to like try. Every single pay-per-view he's on, especially the Elimination Chamber with the whole Kevin Owens bits, like he's so set on creating these like viral moments, and he knows what the character is, and he's no longer trying to push back from being a heel. He's embraced it. He's not trying to get cheers. He's embracing the fact he's like, oh, I'm going to put a Prime bottle in the center of the ring and you're going to boo me and I don't care because I'm a bad guy. Like he's great. And I think having, again, going up to this match, it seemed poised to be LA Knight versus Logan Paul, but I think WWE was like, we don't want either man to lose at WrestleMania, so let's keep them apart. And I think the fact that we didn't get Logan Paul versus LA Knight is specifically done because Logan Paul is going to win this match.
We put KSI back in the Prime bottle. That's the only thing from WrestleMania I remember. Last year was just KSI rocking up. Was that even WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Put him back in, please.
Yeah, he's been hanging around recently too. He took an RKO when they announced the Prime membership a couple weeks ago. But another mid-card title match we have is Gunther versus Sami Zayn. This match is going to be insane. Gunther is like honestly one of my favorite wrestlers in the game right now. I think he is just like a perfect wrestler. I don't think there's anything wrong at all. And honestly, I hope he wins here. I love Sami, and if Sami has Chad in his corner, I think it's probably going to be a title change. But I would love to see Gunther retain, but I also want to see him go on to do bigger and better things. So I'm pretty 50-50 on this one. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about Gunther winning, and that's because it doesn't feel like it's Sami's story. Chad Gable feels like the guy to eventually beat Gunther, and I think he will at one of the upcoming like B shows in between now and Bash in Berlin. I think WWE will hotshot Gunther to a world title match at Bash in Berlin because even though he's from Austria, Germany is close enough to be his backyard, and he'll have a lot of supporters at that show. But yeah, Sami being in this spot has always been weird to me because, again, we all love Sami Zayn. He's a great wrestler. He's a great character. But this was Chad Gable's position.
It felt like Chad Gable's moment. And you could even tell in that gauntlet, the crowd's reaction, that everyone kind of felt it was.
Yeah, we don't want to be mean to Sami, but we're also just this is not your story. And also two people being like, well, Sammy deserves a big victory. Did we forget that he won the main event of WrestleMania literally last year? Like, and beat Roman Reigns 2 months later at Clash Night of Champions in that main event. Like, he's had a good run. Sure, it was with the tag titles, but like the tag titles this time last year were no slouch championships. He's still waiting for that big singles run, but I don't think we can just negate all the stuff that Sami Zayn did last year.
It also just doesn't feel like the right time to take the title off Gunther yet. I feel like if you're gonna take the title off Gunther after how long he's had this title, you need like the person who's gonna take it off to be like red hot. I just don't think Sami Zayn is that red hot yet. I think Chad Gable would have been. I still think that's probably like the first little stumble they've had on the WrestleMania road. But nonetheless, this match is gonna roll, and I'm curious to see what they do with Chad Gable because on Raw it made it seem like he's gonna end up being in Sami's corner or like a coach of some sort. So maybe we get like a Rocky moment. Who knows?
Someone said on TikTok recently, they were like, this is the story. It's Rocky 4. Gunther is Ivan Drago, and Sami Zayn is Apollo Creed. And everyone in the comments were like, I don't want WWE to kill Sami Zayn. And I'm like, I don't think we're in danger of WWE being like, Sami, we need you to go off the grid and go into witness protection because Gunther's going to kill you at WrestleMania. Like, I don't think we're in danger of that. But I could see Sami being like injured or stretchered out to reestablish Gunther's dominance and then have Chad Gable in the Rocky role get the win back for Sami like a month later.
Yeah. I could see that happening too. But another title match we have is the Undisputed Tag Team Championship, the six-pack ladder match with Judgment Day, DIY, The New Day, Awesome Truth, A-Town Down, and New Cash Republic. This one is so up in the air for me. This match is going to roll. Ladder matches at WrestleMania, if you know anything about them, it's going to be badass. It's probably going to be up there with one of the best matches on the show. Last year's Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Showcase was one of the most surprising matches on the show last year. WWE's tag teams know how to wrestle, and looking at this roster, it's going to be a fun match. The story says Awesome Truth is going to win here, but I've also heard a lot of talk about them potentially splitting the tag titles here and having R-Truth go up there and just grab the Raw titles and forget that he needs to grab the other ones too and leave the opportunity for someone else. I don't know how much I love that idea. I'd probably have to see it play out and make it make sense. But Liam, who do you think's winning this one?
I do think this is the perfect opportunity to split the tag titles because of the nature of it's a ladder match. They're both going to be hanging there. Two teams can go away with each set of championships. That being said, I don't know if WWE will act on it because the nature of these shows being on separate networks. I know USA Network was very upset about Roman Reigns holding both world titles because they wanted a world title on their show. Fox doesn't seem to care about not having like a tag title on their show. But at the same time, it feels right for each show to have their own tag division. Yeah. And each show does, just only one show has a championship to compete for. So this is a toss-up in terms of who walks away with each set of championships. And again, I don't even think that's guaranteed. It's what I want to see happen, though. I will say that Awesome Truth, storyline purposes, will get the Raw titles, and Gargano and Ciampa will get the SmackDown titles. SmackDown seems to be the more work rate show. Like there's a lot of character work done on SmackDown, but the matches on SmackDown are very athletic based. And I think Gargano and Ciampa, because not to say they don't have characters, but if you're going to pick one of the two, character work or in-ring work, they're definitely more in-ring work guys. I think they'll succeed better on SmackDown.
And I agree with those two winners too, especially for splitting, just because in storyline, those two are like friends, those two teams. They're a group together, they're Regeneration X, which is great, by the way. I love that. But I think it would make sense, because if you say you have Judgment Day win one pair and then DIY win the other, they're going to have beef in the ring because they don't have both titles. So I think it makes more sense to have DIY and Awesome Truth win that, because then you could just play it off as other friends they're going to celebrate together. I think that would be pretty cool. We also have some non-title matches on the show so far. LA Knight versus AJ Styles. This match, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this match. I feel like LA Knight should be doing more at WrestleMania, but also this match is going to rule, hopefully. I love how much of a hater AJ Styles is, like flying to Australia to cost LA Knight the match. It's kind of crazy. LA Knight's winning this. I don't think there's a shadow of a doubt. I would be absolutely stunned, and I think it would be a terrible decision to have AJ Styles win. What do you think?
I agree that LA Knight, in principle, should be doing more on the Mania card, but I think I look at this of the perspective of the big matches had been solidified. You know, once upon a time, CM Punk, Seth Rollins Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. And then things get shaken up and we go to Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. And then obviously the tag match and everything. There is no place for LA Knight to challenge for a championship without significantly shifting plans WWE has had in place for a year. So the fact that WWE made an effort to give LA Knight a singles match at WrestleMania against an opponent like AJ Styles, I think that is a massive shining star of how much WWE is investing in LA Knight. They could have easily just tossed him into the United States title match and made it a fatal 4-way, or even the tag title match, ladder match, and just have him been just another one of the guys. But no, they made an effort to give him a singles program that is low stakes in the sense of like, everyone has always been like, oh, give LA Knight a championship, give this guy a championship. When you give someone a championship, you then pigeonhole them to being like, well, they can't lose for the next something months, but eventually they will have to lose in order to get to the world title. And it just really, it's a huge risk with momentum. I think they're doing a perfect job with LA Knight long-term right now. I understand the short-term frustration, but this program, they've made an effort for it to be hot. I love the vignettes they're doing. I love the police involvement. I love just the bad blood between the two. And yes, it'll be a huge moment. He'll get that single spotlight. And I kind of hope that this opens night 1 or night 2 because the crowd will be the hottest it will be. And we'll get those LA Knight chants with like 80,000 people. It'll be really special.
Another match that wouldn't shock me to be an opener is Jay versus Jimmy. This match has been building since SummerSlam, brother versus brother. This match is going to roll. This story has been really good. I'm just excited for this. I think Jay's winning. I would be, again, stunned if Jimmy were to win here, but I think it'll be a solid back-and-forth match. Do you think there's any storyline implications of this match at the end where maybe Jay brings Jimmy out of the bloodline or kind of beats it into him, if that makes sense? What do you think?
That's a good question because naturally it does seem like Jimmy would go back to Jay at some point, but I don't want to see an Usos reunion just because Jay is having such a great singles run right now. So I understand doing that for the sake of like the brotherly embrace at the end and it then shaking up like, well, how is the main event going to play out if Roman is down one ally? But for now, I'm going to say Jay gets the win and like Roman berates Jimmy in a backstage segment for losing and like doing dishonor to the family or something. And then that leads to tension when the main event comes around and Jimmy's deciding whether or not he wants to help Roman or if he feels like the disrespect has piled up too much. So I think that will be the storyline implication. I don't think we'll get a definitive at the end of this match where Jimmy lies, but I think there will be tension.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think now that especially, I mean, I always said it last year, this is where Roman is losing the title. There is no way he wins. So now that he loses the title, you have to do the bloodline has to start to crumble. And I think that starts at WrestleMania in one way, shape, or form, whether that be The Rock, Jimmy. I think something's going to happen. But before we get into the last big matches, I want to talk about some things that could be coming. They're setting up something for Bianca Belair and Naomi against Damage Control. I'm not sure if it'll be for the titles. My hope is that it's Asuka, Dakota, and Kairi versus Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. Jade's entrance last night was crazy. She's a star. And if I think a tag match is a perfect place to start for her, especially if you're not totally 100% on her in-ring abilities yet. You have her in there with 5 of the best wrestlers on the planet with her. And you give her a showcase. You let her kick ass. And Bianca Belair needs a match at WrestleMania. She needs to win a match at WrestleMania. I think she can be the female Undertaker as well as being the female Shawn Michaels, Miss WrestleMania, and be undefeated. I think we should do it because every match she's had at WrestleMania has been an absolute banger. But if they have that match, Damage Control is losing. No way Jade, especially if Jade's in the match, no way Jade is losing. And I think there's a chance that if it's just Bianca and Naomi versus Asuka and Kairi Sane for the titles, we see Bianca and Naomi lose I don't see them holding a tag titles long. Liam, what do you think about that situation?
Yeah, it does seem like if Io Sky is going to lose, this is the night to also just have Damage Control as a whole crumble. And yeah, if Jade and Bianca are in that tag match, and also Naomi, she hasn't been in the company in quite some time. Her last WrestleMania, I believe, was Mania 38. Okay, it was only like 2 years ago, but still, like that's a great showcase for those 3 women. And again, it would feel weird to have a WrestleMania without Bianca Belair at this point. She has become such a staple of the show. And like you said, let's keep building up that undefeated streak, because I think, as you alluded to prior, a main event of a future WrestleMania, whether it be next year or years down the line, Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, do it for Rhea Ripley as champion, Bianca Belair's WrestleMania streak on the line. Up the stakes as much as possible, and it would genuinely be, with the right story, the biggest women's match of all time.
Oh, I agree. That is they missed their opportunity on the Fatal 4-Way for the Horsewomen. This is their best chance now. This is their biggest opportunity of a women's match main event. I think we should have women's main events maybe before we get to this one, but this is your solidified main event. Nothing's beating this. I would be so annoyed if they do Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair and it doesn't close one of the shows. If even not close night 2. That is a night 2 closer as well. That match will be insane when we get there. But another match that could happen is Rey Mysterio versus Santos in some way, shape, or form. I'm assuming other people are going to be involved. Liam, what are your thoughts on this one?
I don't care. Like I saw the updates on Twitter, and I was like, does this match need to be on WrestleMania? Like, if they're gonna do kickoff matches again, sure, slot it in. But like with entrances and every ring introductions, we're talking about dedicating like at least 15 minutes to something that just does not need
no
to be
one cares about.
Yeah.
Also, now with Dominic's involvement too, it feels like they knew it was stale, so they're trying to bring something into it, but it's just what we saw last year. And I loved Rey versus Dom last year, but like, it's not new. It's recycled. So I also hope this is maybe a Friday night before WrestleMania type deal, or maybe a kickoff show, as you said. And same thing goes for the Final Testament versus Bobby Lashley feud. I do not care. I simply do not give a fuck. And I hope this is not on the show as well.
Once upon a time, I was like desperate for WWE to bring factions back, because I thought stables are like the coolest thing, like wrestlers forming an alliance and going after championships together. And then AEW came around and introduced factions. I was like, this is fantastic. And now AEW has literally like 15 factions, and they've lost all of their like mystique. And then WWE started to do factions. Like, oh, this is great. The Bloodline, the Judgment Day, that's all we really need. The Final Testament, and I think Lashley and the Street Profits are called the Pride. Like, these are cool groups on paper, but they're aligned for the fact of just like, well, we need multiple people to feud together and have overlapping TV time to save time. So let's just throw them all together. It's like there's no genuine beef here. It just feels like a feud for the sake of a feud, and it actively annoys me. I'm like, don't put this on WrestleMania. This historic show does not deserve to have a SmackDown dark match, to be honest. So yeah, throw it on a pre-show. Who cares?
Every single person in that feud seems lost. And we need some direction for them, because this feud ain't it. But back to matches that are happening. Let's start with our first Men's World Championship, and that is Drew McIntyre challenging Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk will be on commentary. He'll play a factor in this match. Drew's winning this. This is the best Drew McIntyre has ever been, in my opinion. His character is so much fun. Every time he opens his mouth, every time I see him post on social media, I'm gagged. I love this man so much right now, and I need him to win this title in front of fans at WrestleMania. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, Drew needs to win this, because I was talking on another podcast about this, where it was like, well, can Drew do the whole Cody story thing? And I was like, the difference between Cody and Drew is Cody literally was like undefeated leading up to losing to Roman last year. Drew McIntyre has taken the pin so many pay-per-views. Like, he got swept by Seth Rollins last year. He lost the War Games match. Like, he's been so directionless up until this moment. Now is the time to strike while the iron's hot, because after this, if he loses, like, I don't know what to do. And also beyond that, I'm over Seth. Like, I think Seth's title reign has gotten a little bit stale. Again, he's worked very hard, but we're in a position now where we don't need year-long title reigns anymore. I want to see that world championship change every 2 to 3 months. And I think Seth, again, will benefit from taking some time off. He's legitimately injured. He's working through a lot of like banged up like body parts right now. And I think have him lose the title. He's also going to lose night 1 as well, in my opinion. So have him take like 2 or 3 months off and have us miss him. So when he gets back, he feels special again.
Yeah, I agree. And I honestly feel like the bigger program now is Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. And that's crazy considering how hot we all were for Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. I'm 10 times more interested in Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. I think that's your SummerSlam main event if Punk's healthy by then. And I think that is going to rule. Just based off their promo Monday, what do you think CM Punk's involvement will be? Do you think it's going to be strictly commentary, or do you think he's going to end up playing a factor in the match?
That's a good question. I feel like, so my theory is he'll come out in like a CM Punk like hoodie, like a zip up hoodie like this, and at a certain point the referee will go down and he'll stand up from the commentary table and unzip the hoodie and reveal he's wearing a ref shirt, but he's not actually going to do anything. Like he's just he will tease the fact that he has the power to go and count the 1, 2, 3, but before then another referee comes from the back. So I think his role will be strictly teasing that something can go awry, but he won't actually act on it.
That makes sense to me, especially with how much they brought up the special guest referee aspect of it on Monday. It seems weird to bring it up that much if you don't have some implications for WrestleMania. So I definitely think that's something we could see. But let's get into our two main events of the weekend. We'll start with Saturday night's main event, and that is Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus The Rock and Roman Reigns. If Cody and Seth win, it's a straight one-on-one match on Sunday. If the Bloodline wins, it's Bloodline rules. And I think we're getting Bloodline rules. I'll tell you why when we get into the next match. But I don't see The Rock losing here. I think Seth Rollins is – I think Cody Rhodes is going to eat the pin here. I think you're going to have that one last hurdle.
That's a good shout because Seth should not get pinned before his world title match. That would look like very strange. And also Cody, it's not going to hurt Cody because I think we both agree that he's going to win the next night. So I think, again, have that one last hurdle and probably have The Rock be the one to pin him, maybe, to then hopefully set up a singles match between the two at some point down the line, because The Rock seems to now care about wrestling again until Papa Tui's stock goes through the roof, and then he won't care about wrestling anymore. But for now, he seems invested, so let's strike while that iron is hot. This match is going to be fun. I don't expect it to be a spectacle. I think we will have, I don't know if you remember Rock and Cena versus Miz and R-Truth from Survivor Series 2011.
Oh, yeah.
That match, if you take out crowd noise, it is like the most boring match ever. But when you insert crowd noise, it's awesome. I'm not saying that they weren't trying, but they very are clearly like playing up to the strengths of, someone will hit a shoulder tackle, The Rock will look up and be like, oh my God, I didn't realize Cody was that strong. And like the crowd will be crazy behind it. And then, you can't tease bloodline rules and then not act on it. It's like the, Chekhov's gun principle of like when there's a gun on stage, you got to fire it. They're teasing this. And I think, you stack the odds as much as you can against Cody, Captain America, Rhodes. So when he stands opposite Roman, Thanos, Reigns, we get some on your lefts.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's the direction I think we're heading in. Do you think this match gets I think this match we're going to see a ref bump and it's going to get bloody in a way, especially because they've already gotten the blood. I think we're going to get, now that we're allowed to have blood on WWE TV again, which is wild, but I think we're going to get a little extreme in this one, and I'm excited for it. I think they're going to try and mask the fact that The Rock isn't phenomenal in the ring anymore with a lot of showmanship, weapons, interferences, and stuff. I think this could be fun. I think it's going to be a great closer to night one. I think it's going to get the people hot for night two. And that our main event for night two is the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defending his title for the 4th WrestleMania in a row.
I believe so.
37, 38,
38.
Yeah. Holy shit. Against Cody Rhodes for the 2nd year in a row. And there's no way Cody Rhodes loses this. As we were talking about, it's going to be Bloodline rules in this match. Bloodline's going to get involved, and the Avengers are going to assemble. Liam, what do you think about what's going to happen in this overbooked mess? I'm going to love it.
I do think that there is still a small chance Roman wins, strictly for the fact that if he holds the title to September, he would surpass Hulk Hogan on the longest reigns list. But again, why are we competing for 2nd or 3rd place? Because Bruno Sammartino, he would have to hold the title until 2028. And there's no world in which that happens. I cannot even feasibly imagine him holding the title for literally a decade. As for how this match plays out, give me all the overbooked mess. There's nothing I love more that in a wrestling match, when the referee takes a bump, and if I'm watching with my friends, I literally sit up. I'm like, shenanigans, here we go. Like, who's gonna come out? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, this is the twists and turns moment. And like you said, it has been a hot theory for a while. I will give credit where credit is due. He doesn't need it, but Brandon Davis from Comicbook, he tweeted this like months or a year ago about like how cool would it be if people from Roman's past came out in like a Portals like moment. And yeah, he was one of the first people I saw like tweet it. Now that it's actually becoming a reality, it doesn't feel like a crazy just like fan theory. It feels right. It feels natural.
Yeah.
Roman has screwed over a lot of people. Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. In a perfect world, it will never happen. But like if AEW could just lend Edge and Daniel Bryan for one night, what a great cameo that would be. But the big one, the big two that people will talk about are John Cena, who obviously Roman Reigns did feud with, but the biggest one of, after the Avengers have assembled on your left, all that great stuff, and most people are taken out, and just The Rock is alone in the ring and is about to like decimate Cody. The glass shatters. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out. We get one last showdown between Steve Austin and The Rock. And again, in the nostalgia side of wrestling, there have been so many times where the acts from yesteryear will overshadow what's happening now. I don't think that this is the case. I think that kind of moment enhances what else happens because you have this generational clash, Rock and Austin taking each other out to then allow for Cody and Roman to actually finish the match evenly. And also, too, just the idea of Cody Rhodes being christened as the new world champion, the new face of WWE moving forward. And that moment happening with John Cena, Steve Austin, and The Rock also in the ring. What the amount of torch passing that happens in a moment like that is insane. Like, this doesn't happen in any other entertainment medium. Like, the only time it happens is in the movies where it's like, there's CGI involved, they shoot it in advance, and then we experience it when they're ready. You don't get this type of torch passing generational moment in live entertainment in anything other than pro wrestling. So I am just like, I really hope it happens because I'm going to be disappointed if it doesn't. And I'm going to be in Philadelphia. And I already told my bosses yesterday, I was like, if they try to usher us into the press conference before the main event ends, I'm not going. I need to experience this live. I need to like see the moment happen because it will genuinely be like something I show my kids one day of like, this is why wrestling works.
And we're on such an elite playing field right now. This match is going to be crazy, and I'm so glad we're doing it it's also WrestleMania 40, so you got to get John Cena and Stone Cold in there somehow. But a name I wanted to bring up, and this is something I've been thinking about, do we think Drew McIntyre gets involved in any way, shape, or form?
That's a good question because Roman also screwed him over.
Yeah.
And it would give him a nice little shade of gray because right now Drew is a justified heel. Everything he's saying is like, if he just said it with a nicer tone of voice, we'd be like, yeah, you're a good guy. So I would like that because I've always liked the idea of when heels and faces unite together to fight a common cause because it just feels so much like bigger than it actually is. And so, yeah, let's get Drew involved. I'd love that.
Yeah, I think that would be super cool, and I'm just so excited for this match. The only thing, like you were saying, this match can't end off Stone Cold hitting a stunner on Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes has to be the one to do it, and I would like there to be like maybe 5 to 10 minutes of wrestling after all of the overbookedness of just Cody and Roman. That way, it kind of gives it time to self-center itself back onto that story, and that way when Cody pins Roman Reigns 1, 2, 3, we can be emotional, experience that moment with him. It's going to be an emotional moment if he wins. I'll probably cry. I was rewatching Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens when the tag titles last year, was tearing up. Wrestling's really fucking good right now. So I think this is going to be a WrestleMania, an all-timer. The card is just insane. There's not many matches. I look at them, I'm just like, I don't care, or I could miss this. Like, years past, every single match has my attention, and I'm very excited. Liam, any last thoughts on WrestleMania?
It's just going to be a fun show, and I implore anyone who's watching it to like actually try to like live in the experience. It's very easy to be like, oh, I got to get my social reaction out there. I want to like think of like, how to respond to this. If you're going in person, live in the moment, but also if you're watching on TV, like make an effort to like remember it because I've sat through a lot of crappy WrestleManias where it's very clear that they don't care. there's a
Yeah.
lot of effort being put in this year, and it's one that I think people are going to want to remember where they were, remember who they watched with, remember how they were feeling.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be back 2 weeks with our WrestleMania reaction, and we'll give you all the results. But we have something else to talk about today. Pedro Pascal was in a new movie. Layla, take it away.
Yes, he was. Okay, I want to start out by saying he does not have the best filmography on the planet. Okay, I have sat through every single thing this man has ever been in because I have to. Drive Away Dolls came out. Well, it came out a while ago actually, but it only came into the UK like 2 weeks ago. So I finally got time to watch it. It was actually great. I can understand why a lot of people have a lot of criticisms about it. It was one of those where things just kind of kept happening. And you didn't really know what was going on or like what the purpose of certain things were until the very end. And I do understand like it was like not everyone loves silly comedy, but I do, so I really enjoyed it. Margaret Qualley was amazing. Also, Geraldine, her co-star who played Marianne, was phenomenal. I have never seen her in anything before, and I really enjoyed her character. She was funny. She was like quick-witted. It was good. I loved Margaret Qualley a lot. She was in one of my favorite films, The Nice Guys, with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. If you haven't seen that, go and watch it. And Drive Away Dolls was directed by Ethan Coen, and the Coen brothers directed another one of my favorite films, Inside Llewyn Davis. I know Jaden will agree with me on that. So I did really enjoy this a lot.
For sure.
There were a lot of things where I was like, what is even going on? Like, for example, Pedro's character name is the Penis Collector. That's what he's listed as everywhere. And until like halfway through, I was like, oh, that's why he's listed as that. It's so weird, and it feels like you're kind of on drugs while you're watching it. And then something I just had no idea was coming. It was like, this isn't really a spoiler, but fucking Miley Cyrus came on the screen. And I was like, what?
What?
Like, she just showed up for like 10 seconds in this like thing. It was so weird. And Matt Damon was in it too, and his
I love Matt
character
Damon.
was so strange, and it was just so good. Pedro, you know, his characters are famous for dying, basically. I actually, yeah, if I had a nickel every time one of Pedro Pascal's characters got his eyes gouged, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 3 times. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Obviously, I will admit, I went to see it for Pedro, but ended up he was only in it for a solid 3 minutes, and I really enjoyed the rest of the film, and I appreciated every single person's performance in it. It was funny. It was great. Great soundtrack. It was just great. Give me more lesbians in movies. Just more of these silly, goofy films of this type. I really enjoyed it, and you should definitely give it a watch if you haven't already. I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, you mentioned Miley Cyrus. I just want to shout out Cowboy Carter real quick. Beyonce's new album released on Friday. Miley Cyrus is featured, and Blue Jeans from the Hannah Montana movie is on the cover of the album.
No
and
way.
Blue Jeans passed away yesterday, so rest in peace, Blue Jeans.
Rest in peace.
But
are you joking? That's just ruined my entire childhood. I had the fucking Nintendo horse game, and my horse was called Blue Jeans. Like, I was obsessed with that horse. That's actually so sad.
It is very sad. I saw that yesterday. I was like, dang, it died on release day too. It's a moment. Got its moment.
God dang.
But back onto a lighter note, Xmen 97 has been out. We've gotten 3 episodes now, and Jaden, I'll let you take us away.
Yeah, so Xmen 97 premiered with 2 episodes, and those 2 episodes were absolute bangers. And then this past week was episode 3, and it was another absolute banger. It was an insane, low-key unsettling banger, but it was a banger. I was kind of going into this series excited for it because obviously it's the X-Men. I mean, we talked about it during our primer. There's a lot to be excited for, a lot to look forward to with this show. Although we didn't necessarily know what the story was going to be, we didn't really know what to expect. And so we kind of open up first episode, and it looks like, and I'm going to kind of just bypass everything else. It looks like we got Sunspot, and that's super. Okay, spoilers. Also, spoilers if we. This is already known, but yeah, spoilers if you have not seen the first 3 episodes of X-Men. But yeah, so we got Sunspot, which is super sick. And it looks like we have a bunch of bad guys with now Sentinel tech after we thought that the Sentinels were all destroyed and whatnot. Which is interesting because, with, X-Men being what it is, it's kind of hard to, ow, fuck, hold on. Ow, fuck. Oh, Charlie horse. Oh,
I've been there.
Oh, god damn. Why oh, god.
Are you sitting on the floor?
Yes, I am sitting on the floor. Oh, god damn. All right.
Wait, are you like fully sitting on the floor?
Fully sitting on the floor. God damn it.
You gotta get yourself an office chair.
I do.
Yeah, that explains it.
It's because, you know what? I'm recording in Gabrielle's room, and there's no fucking chairs up here. All right. Back to what I was saying. I completely lost my thought. But
it happened to me at the Iron Claw press screen. We'll never forget. It was in a very sad moment, and all of a sudden my leg tensed up, and I started pacing around the movie theater, and all these critics were looking at me like, "Damn, this movie's really affecting you, huh?" And I was like, "I cannot feel my leg." It didn't help. I think I was wearing like black skinny jeans too, and it made everything worse.
Oh no!
I've been there. Don't worry.
All right. I'm just gonna power through. Okay.
You got this.
So yeah, we have Sunspot now. We have bad guys with Sentinel tech, and the first scene with the X-Men kind of coming in and saving Sunspot, or I think his name is Roberto, which was a crazy scene. Jean and Cyclops have also been planning to apparently leave the X-Men. This was towards like the middle of the episode. Jean is pregnant with who I would assume is Nathan Summers, as we learn later. But CJ, what did you think of this first episode? Sorry.
I thought it was pretty good. It was a nice reintroduction to all these characters. I feel like they did a pretty good job for like kind of giving a good overview, especially in that final scene with the Sentinels, kind of showcasing each person. But I thought it was a pretty good first episode. The second episode, I think, was a little bit stronger into the last 2 minutes, which I absolutely hated. We'll get into that in a second.
Whilst Jaden's suffering, I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mentioned this in our primer, but my X-Men knowledge is very, very, very limited. I did not know what I was getting myself in for watching this show. I think it was Damon I asked. I was like, can I watch X-Men 97 if I've never watched like the animated series? He was like, yeah, like they explain most things. So I went into it kind of blind, really, and I've been really enjoying it. My favorite characters so far are Rogue and Storm. I think they're icons, but also Gambit. I know that's CJ's boy. I'm also starting to realize everything CJ has previously said about Cyclops. Got that from the first minute of the episode.
Whiny little bitch. Fuck
yeah.
Cyclops.
I'm kind of enjoying it though. But yeah, the show's great. Obviously I don't really know what happened in that third episode. I was just kind of watching it. I think it was at like 3 a.m. last night, and I was like, what is going on right now? But I'm enjoying it. I'm here for the ride. I'm excited to get to know more about these characters. Honestly, my favorite part about the whole thing was the intro and the outro. I'm obsessed with this like style, like the animation style, and also just like the good vibes. I'm purely here for the vibes of the X-Men, and I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Okay, now that my brain is not is functioning again, I can pull myself away from the pain. So yeah, episode 1, Sunspot, Sentinel Tech. Jean and Cyclops are potentially planning to leave. I want to touch on towards the end of episode 1 where the Omega level threat, Storm. Holy shit, she is such a queen. She's so sick. Her mohawk, her whole vibe is so cool. Liam, I'll pass it to you since we haven't gotten to you yet. What have you thought of this first few episodes so far?
I'm really sorry to say I have not watched X-Men 97 yet.
You're busy,
Only for a
dude.
laugh.
You're busy. I can see it.
But that's the thing though. It's nice to know that they're 20-minute episodes, right?
Actually,
Yeah,
they're like 30.
They're not long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
either way, they're digestible enough that I have been like planning to just binge when the whole season is
Yeah.
done in one sitting, because that's what I
That's
used
valid.
to do. That's what I used to do with like Saturday morning cartoons. I'm a massive Justice League Unlimited fan.
Yep.
I used to get like the season DVDs and just sit in front of like one of those like chunky TVs on a floor like Jaden getting a Charlie horse at 5 years old.
Right.
And I would just go through a full season of Justice League Unlimited. And I think the DVD I have, it's like over there somewhere on my shelf. And I think I've watched it full through like at least 10 times when I was younger. And so to kind of harken back to that with X-Men 97, that's kind of how I've been approaching it. I don't want to approach this show as one that I really want to like dissect for like Easter eggs and like thinking about what's going to happen in the future. I want to like purely enjoy it as a Saturday morning cartoon. So I love hearing all the praise though. It makes me know that I'm going to spend my time well in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, honestly, it's a lot of fun, and kind of like you said, I've been spending my time dissecting it for sure. Meanwhile, it is an animated show. Normally, with animated shows, it takes a bit for me to kind of get into it, but with this X-Men, it's been instant. Like from episode 1 now all the way to episode 3, I've been invested the entire time. And with episode 2, I guess since we haven't seen it, I won't get too much into spoilers because I didn't realize you hadn't seen it. But episode 2 is kind of like a tease to like a trial of Magneto. Apparently he's gone good, and he's now I wouldn't say leader of the X-Men, but they're his X-Men now that Charles had kind of given it to him in his will, the school to him in his will. And so that was an interesting kind of not twist, but we kind of knew it was coming through the trailers and whatnot, but it was still very interesting because obviously there's that bit of like trust or not trust between, the X-Men and now Magneto. They're like, okay, now we have to follow this guy who we've been fighting for years, and we were never on the same side, like never on the same page. And definitely very interesting, especially as we go through the rest of episode 2, which leads him into a little trial. And also I'll pass this part to CJ because yeah, the eye roll. It's so real. With
All Girls Are the Same by Juice WRLD, stream
it. Which apparently Rogue and Magneto had a little thing, and Gambit. This is before Gambit apparently, and so
I don't blame her. He'd be looking kind of good.
I was just about to say low key. Poor CJ. But
I don't feel like I'm welcome here anymore.
But another thing that I wanted to mention about episode 2 is I'm wearing my Black Panther hat because this was, like I was saying, by dissecting the whole series and whatnot. Episode 2, Storm loses her powers by Executioner, who shoots her with like some sort of trank that makes them human. It completely like ends their mutant genes. And so she loses her powers and she leaves the X-Men. And this is me manifesting that she somehow ends up in Wakanda. That would be so much fun. I feel like it would be an interesting way to loop in Wakanda and Black Panther. And I'm not going to take credit for it because my girlfriend and I were talking about this after episode 2. And she was the one that brought this up. I was like, wow, I love it. And I hope it happens now. But this is my manifestation of that happening. But anyway,
that would be cool.
That would be fantastic. Because that is a power couple right there, let me tell you. Anyway, episode 3, that's where we learn that Mr. Sinister is pulling some strings. He's got apparently a clone of Jean Grey. And so the Jean Grey that we've been, with the last 2 episodes has been to us the real Jean Grey, but then we learn that there's a clone, and she is the clone. And so now that Mr. Sinister kind of has that control over the clone, it becomes super super crazy. The visuals in this episode alone are insane.
This
With
is where it lost me. This is where
yeah,
I really fell off, and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I was gonna agree. I didn't really like episode 3 so much. It was kind of hard to
yeah,
follow in exactly what was going on. I don't know if I love the twist that, oh, the Jean Grey you've been watching this entire time isn't actually Jean Grey.
right.
You know, there's just random other Jean Grey. We got Madeline Pryor out of it, which is pretty cool, but it wasn't my favorite episode.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there was a lot to kind of track in this episode with the reality distortion and whatnot, but I actually really enjoyed it. I loved the Goblin Queen. She looked so badass, and her power set is absolutely insane. And the way she was able to just kind of piece the X-Men was really cool. But yeah, this kind of led to, because Mr. Sinister wanted Nathan Summers for his own devious reasons. He wanted his powers and whatnot, and so this led to the Nathan becoming sick and being taken to the future with Bishop for to be cured, which we potentially know leads to a little man named Cable. And so, yeah, the first 3 episodes here have been setting up some pretty big things right out the gate, and I'm so excited. CJ, what are you kind of excited for moving forward after these first 3 episodes?
Giving Gambit more screen time.
For real?
I'm excited for. Hasn't got a lot. I'm ready for more.
That's real. That's real. Layla, what about you as someone who's kind of just taking all this in for the first time?
Yeah, it's making me want to go back and watch the animated show, the original animated
You
show.
should.
It's just like there's been a few like projects I've watched where it's really like thrown me in the deep end with like a new group of characters, and this is another example of that. And I kind of like that it's happening outside of the MCU, so it's like I'm getting to grips with these characters now, and then if eventually we see them in the MCU, then this is like the lead up to it or whatever. But they seem like such a complex, amazing, interesting group of characters. And yeah, I'm just excited to learn more about them and see where we go and understand CJ's Gambit obsession.
Absolutely.
As if you don't already understand it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Well, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it for our episode today. So make sure you're following Fandom Academy on all the socials and hit that notification bell, the like button, and subscribe if you're on YouTube, so you don't miss any content from us. You can find all the shows on the AOF Podcast Network, including the Agents of Fandom, Listen 3000, Comic Corner, The Critics, and of course here, us at Fandom Academy. You can get them on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcast. Yeah, Liam, thank you so much for joining today. It's always a pleasure to have you. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me on. Layla hit me up like late earlier this week, and I was like, absolutely. Time and place, I'm there to talk WrestleMania. And I also love getting to chat with you guys, especially. So thank you again for having me on. I'm on all socials at Liam T. Crowley, mostly Instagram these days. I don't really like Twitter anymore. It's starting to rub me the wrong way.
No one does.
The algorithm is awful, and I have my most fun on Instagram. So if you're looking for like fun interview clips and stuff like that, most of them live over there. And yeah, we just talked WrestleMania for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you are into that, I'm going to have some interviews from WrestleMania week live on comicbook.com, Comic Book Nation's YouTube channel, and then some snippets will go up on my Instagram. So yeah, if you need to find any of my stuff, the best place to start is at Liam T. Crowley on Instagram.
Absolutely. And we'll probably see you next year for WrestleMania 41.
I hope sooner than that. We can talk about stuff other than wrestling. I have a lot of knowledge.
We can talk about why the High School Musical movie should be in theaters.
Oh my
right
god.
now.
Oh my god, yes.
Let's make it happen. I'm there.
Yes.
That was like my favorite draft I've ever done ever.
That was one of the most fun episodes.
When I put that graphic on my story, like 15 people from my childhood swiped up and they were like either like you won or like you suck, and I was like hey it started a conversation. That's all that matters.
Well, if you haven't watched that episode, go check it out. My team was superior. So Layla, Jaden, where can the people find you?
You can find me anywhere at Falcons. I've been a bit dead at the minute because I've been super busy. I've got a new job, moved house, life everywhere. But yeah, I'll be getting back into posting a lot more soon, and I'm excited to be channeling more energy into Fandom Academy. I know we have some fun things planned for the future, and especially on our TikTok page, so make sure you're following that. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah, you guys can find
Absolutely.
me at jaden.cmduran pretty much all over. I'm not really on Twitter much anymore. I'm not really on TikTok much anymore, but you can find my bartending content at duran.drinks on Instagram. I do post on TikTok, but I really I post it and then I exit the app.
Yeah.
And so that's been a lot of fun. I've been making up some new cocktails. So yeah, that's been fun. And hopefully next time, no more tri horses, because that was actually painful. I literally started cold sweating. It hurt so bad. I was like, oh my God, this is actually painful right now.
We need to get you a Theragun if you're familiar with those.
Oh
That'll
yeah,
solve all
for
your
sure.
problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I need something because that was bad. But yeah,
Yeah,
good
it looked
episode.
rough.
Good episode. My brain literally just
Well-
stopped functioning.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. We'll be back next week. You can find me anywhere at CJR_. Should have some cool stuff coming up. And yeah, we love you. Thanks for watching. See you later. Peace.